Thank you. I feel very nice All right. So I'm just going to say random words until all the conversations can die off with washing machine. Meatloaf. A lot of food words. You guys know?
Sweaty socks.
Sweaty socks.
Liver and onions. Oh, look at that. Stop the... No, there's still one going on pretty strong over there. How are you all this morning? Anybody want to say hi to the group?
Hi, group. Hi.
Was it a great trip? Did you want to share anything that happened while you were there? Tell everybody where you were.
California. My mom was preaching for that. And I had to make almost 100 corn dogs for the kids.
It's food again. We're back to food. So how were the corn dogs with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? It was like a kids camp, like a summer camp type? Yeah.
Yeah. It was very hot there.
Very hot? It was very hot here too.
It was like 100 something there every single day.
It was over 100 degrees every day. California, what city in California?
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay. Glad it was a good time. Did you want to say something?
Sup?
Any other testimonies? Anything else happened great this week you guys want to share about? Jeff, you want to share? We'll go ahead and do this now.
So I had this experience a couple weeks ago when we did the service in reverse, and I didn't really know how to explain it, but I guess the Lord brought it back to me this morning, and I had some more revelation about it. So when we were doing the service with the worship at the end and the kids were coming back in, I just had this experience with the Lord where he said, "Look at my church." And I had some words come up. It wasn't really like a word from the Lord. It wasn't like a vision from the Lord, but my eyes got brighter. And he said about, "Look at my church. Look at the health of this church, how healthy it is. Look how engaged the people are. Look how all the generations are together and how they're engaged." And it was just a big encouragement. And this morning, the revelation that I got from this was that he was showing me a picture of how he looks at the church here. So be encouraged.
That's really awesome. Appreciate it. Anybody else want to share anything? Is that a raised hand? Okay. Come on up, Ray. Come on up.
I don't know if you all remember when I got baptized here in the church. Ever since that day, it's been amazing, and I thank you, the Struck family, for introducing me to the church. They've been a very good family that I've been with for a long, long time, and I want to thank Brenda for coming into my life, and We've been having a car that basically is with no AC, and the other day I just got this sense I said, let's go look at a truck, and we were just looking, but actually it was an amazing day because there was a guy there that needed lifted up, and I went outside, smoked a cigarette. He came out and he goes, "Can I walk with you for a second?" And I was like, "Sure." And he was telling me he had some issues going on, and how he had faith in God, and just out of the blue, he's like, I was there for him, and he started crying. I was like, "It's okay to cry." And it was just an amazing day. Like, we actually came out with a truck, and I helped someone that needed, out of the blue, touched him. Like, he just needed more guidance. And I think every time we come here, it's amazing. I feel the presence, and I'm hoping everyone can feel the joy that I'm receiving, and how everything has just been changing. I appreciate it, and God bless you all.
Very good. Anyone else? Whoa, that's really loud all of a sudden. Yeah. Oh, director.
I just want to thank you guys for joining in prayer. A couple weeks ago, I think we had the prayer time, and we had talked about our neighborhood picnic, and we had close to 60 people show up, which was amazing. And we've made some relationships. Ishmael has plans to go golfing with one of our neighbors. I'm going out for coffee, and these are both people that we just met this summer. So it's really awesome just to see the way like our lives can expand beyond these four walls, and just I have no idea where these people are in their faith with the Lord or their walk with the Lord. I just want to love them, and I think it's really, really beautiful that we have that opportunity to do that.
I love it.
I want to jump on there too. Just basically the same topic. We've had opportunities to have more relationship with neighbors among us. When we moved in, I had our house is it's a townhouse, so it's really tall, and I had like a picture in my mind that our house was like a lighthouse in our neighborhood, like with like a light coming out the top window. Just so like that was the week we moved in, and I just feel like of late we've had a lot of opportunities to talk with and befriend neighbors. Like we've had them on our deck. We're keeping a cat for one of them. I was in the pool of another one who just likes many of the surrounding neighborhoods. She just finds a way to be at odds, but for some reason she's open. Like she unlocks her fence, she lets us in, she texts. Like it's really, really cool. So it's fun. It's fun to just walk through the doors that are opening with these people. They're hungry, I think, for someone to talk to who will listen and not judge them, and just like meet them where they're at. It's really, really cool.
I'll jump on that too. Sorry. Oh, gotcha. My family was on vacation last week, and it was crazy. I was telling the worship team this morning, I've been seeing the Lord in the most like little things, but just seeing Him everywhere. And on our we went on a cruise, and I just kept running into believers. It was wild. Sometimes I would have a shirt, it would start a conversation, but other times I've just, I talk a lot, so I just meet people. Come to find out, they're not just Christian in name. You could tell the Holy Spirit was inside of them. It was really energizing to me, because you go to a different place, you're like, yeah, we're probably on this island where we believe, but there was just so many people. I was just encouraged that I don't know, the Lord's really everywhere. So.
Kara shared a little bit while you were out, but I thought you wanted to share a little bit about you.
Okay. I have, trying to think. She shared about making corn dogs. I actually have a couple things. I want to share from my first trip first, really quickly. I was in the shower one day, and this was at the camp, so 2 weeks. I don't even know how many weeks. It was earlier. And it was when the water came on, it was weight. I know this sounds really weird, but it was like a river. And I felt like the Lord was saying, you can have a shower that has a little bit of water, but they put a lot of pressure behind it, so you feel like there's more. Or you can stand in a full, rich, full of substance of the Lord, in that flow. And there's no question, it just was I I don't know if this makes sense, but like it literally was almost like gravity because it was just so full in his spirit. So I was like, Lord, I don't want to stand in something that is just, I mean, yes, there's water there, but it's like we're trying to force something, you know? I want to stand in like the real presence of Jesus. Like whatever that looks like, wherever we're at. And then that week, it was like, you know, I would teach, and it would just like, you hope it's hitting, you know? And then it was like the last night where we were together, and I just sort of opened up an activity for the kids to do. And like at one point, I just looked around the room, and there were kids just weeping, like all around the room. It was like the ministry of the whole week had come. And finally, they were experiencing Jesus in some really heavy things in their life. And I felt like this is the water. This is the presence of Jesus that I want to stand in. I don't want to like force something to happen with a little bit of Jesus. I just want to like stand where he is just pouring out, and I don't even know what's going on, but it's him. Then this past week, I was out in California, and we had a lot of kids. And I just love to see how, like, Jesus meets people in very individual places. There was this one boy, his mom had been, like, praying for him. It was he and his brother. His brother is terminally ill. And so this one night, I just wanted to do, like, this practice prophetic activity, like this arc. And so, you know, there were 98 kids there. So when I was like, you know, who wants to come up here? There were like 50 or 60 hands that were in the air. And I just randomly grabbed someone. You know, you just trust Jesus. You just go about. I didn't know what I was doing, really, just like. So I pull this boy up, and they start like just speaking over him. And I mean, it was a beautiful time of ministry. But I didn't know his story. And then like that night, which these sessions with the kids went, 4 and 5 hours long. So it was several hours later. And this boy, evidently, one of my helpers that night was his 5th grade teacher. And she came up to me and she said, Jocelyn, you have no idea what you just did. She said, this boy, she said, I had a dream just a week ago about this boy, and in this dream, the Lord was going to give me prophetic words for him, specifically because she knows just what he's carrying right now. And she said, and I felt like my dream was interrupted because just as the Lord was going to give me words, everything stopped. And she said, I just kept praying, like, God, what can I give to this boy? What are you trying to speak over him? And she told the boy's mom about it. They were just, and then that night, he had like words that were just so specific. She said, she said, you don't know how accurate these kids are, how accurate their words, their love, their ministry to that boy. And then later on that evening, the boy's brother came in the room and we got to pray over him, which he's terminally ill. And I just felt like this is Jesus, and this is how he ministers to every single one. Every single one is so loved and is so seen. No one goes outside of his individual, intricate, gentle, and yet it's powerful care. I'm just thankful for Jesus. I'm just thankful not only that we get to be a part of that, but like I get to be loved by that. Like we get to be loved that way, and then we get to be a part of it. So I'm just really thankful for that. I'm sorry, I have one more thing I want to share. I was like, so the pastor that was out there, the children's pastor, she was like, when you come, can you take some time to talk about worship? And so I had gone out there I was ready to teach, on worship, and the Lord stopped literally, I'm on stage. There's 98 kids. Like, you can't really have a lot of downtime. And he stopped me and he said, just ask them what is amazing about me. And we spent, I bet you, the next easily close to an hour with all these kids just saying why God is amazing. And like nobody repeated something else someone else said. Like it just was this constant flow. And it was like the Lord was reminding my spirit, don't teach about worship. Just realize, like, just worship me. Like, just realize I'm so amazing. And then you can't help but to worship. Like, it calls you up to worship without any kind of training. It just comes up out of you. So I just was so thankful, even just for how the Lord, he teaches us in all things, right? Like, in every single moment, he's there. He's teaching us. He's lifting our eyes to see him.
That is beautiful. It's amazing how all these testimonies were about what the Lord was doing outside of a church gathering. Did you guys notice that? Yeah. What he's doing on vacations, what he's doing in the neighborhoods, what he's doing at camps. And I'm just so thankful that we gather here to encourage one another to go back out and be light, be love, be the Father's heart everywhere we go. Amen? Okay, so this is what I'd like to do. The worship team's probably tired of playing the same riff over and over. That one. But what I'd still like to do, I'd like us all to stand up, and I would like you guys to just popcorn some encouragement to the worship team this morning. Popcorn just means just speak it out on this microphone. I just want to encourage them. Because there's moments, because I used to lead worship here, where you feel like the distance between where they're standing and you is way bigger than 15, 20 feet. Okay? So let's just, I just want to run this microphone around. I want to hear your encouragement to the worship team. Who wants to say something? Who wants to start?
I want to thank you guys for not being afraid to truly worship the Lord and to honor each other the way you do individually. It's just amazing, and it does transmit and it does encourage us, so thank you.
I just want to tell you guys, you are awesome. You have the presence of God in you guys, and I just want to tell you, good job.
I want to honor you for getting here early, and because I know what a commitment that is, and you all have families and things, that it's a sacrifice to be here early and to prepare your hearts and everything for us. So thank you for that.
Yes, I want to thank you guys. You do an incredible job every Sunday. You set the atmosphere. And when I first came here, I felt the love and I felt the presence of God in through your music. And you guys really appreciate it, so don't ever think that what you do in vain, because anything you do for the Lord is always advantageous. Thank you.
I feel like it's a big commitment to do this. Like, you could do anything else. You don't even have to be at church, but you choose to be here. You choose to worship.
Well, I love coming to Who just for the atmosphere and the people, but I love the worship team. It's like coming to a Jesus concert every Sunday morning. Love you guys.
Worship team, the Spirit of God is here through the worship. And I don't usually speak, so I'm kind of nervous, but I just want you to know that every Sunday when I come here, no matter what has gone on during the week, when I come here, I leave restored. And I also want to thank you for the songs that you choose. Lyrics matter. I'm a poet. You choose, the words matter. And I have, reached out to Jen saying, hey, where was that? Because I need to hear these songs throughout the week. And then I've learned, I haven't been in church for a long time. And so I've kind of lost the culture of worship songs, and Jen's helped me out. So your songs, the lyrics that are in the songs matter. Thank you.
Did anybody catch Mark's I Told You So?
I definitely got that.
I thought that was subtle.
Nah.
Every time you sing and people are like down here worshiping, it opens their hearts every time you sing because like they came to worship and you guys aren't afraid to sing for them to worship.
I have another thing. So sometimes whenever I come to church, I'm not feeling the best. Whenever I'm like sitting down listening to the music, I feel better after.
Yeah, it's true.
I just feel like I speak the joy of the Lord over you all. I just thank you for showing up every time, and I just pray hope, that you would bring hope, and everything that you sing, everything that comes to your spirit and your heart would just be like just an overflowing into us. So I just thank you all.
Thank you for taking the time to cultivate your relationship of worship with Jesus at home. Because this doesn't just happen because you come on a Sunday. It happens because of every day your hearts are in that place and it explodes here. So thank you for investing.
I want to thank you. You guys do a wonderful job, especially making the spirit in all of us more powerful and more encouraging. The music and the vocals that you guys play, it comes from you, like the guy upstairs, what you just need to help us with. It's amazing. There's times that I come here, sometimes I don't feel it, sometimes I do. And it's not about me, it's about everyone in here. And like it fires me up. It just brings that spirit more powerful. And it's just amazing. And I thank you. And you guys have been blessed.
Well, I'm really humbled by the kind words, but I'm gonna throw it back at you because I tell people all the time this might be the easiest place ever to lead worship, and that goes all the way back to 20-some years ago when Mark, I remember I didn't grow up here, but I've always had a passion for worship. I remember coming in this building and like there was just an anointing on the worship, and it's not about the team, though I love our worship team. The best worship we ever have is not led from up here. It's led by all of us collectively. And that's why, and I'm not trying to tell you to come up front this morning or anything, but I've always said there's something about, and this is why I think it's important that we worship corporately, is there's something about, like if I stand next to Mark and I'm singing and I hear him singing, it galvanizes me, and then like the more people that are together, that it's just like this cohesive bond that like we can worship the Lord anywhere, right? But when we do it together, it's like Mark has a flavor, I have a flavor, Amanda has a flavor, and it comes into this like awesome melting pot of whatever. So thank you guys.
Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you.
Let's do that again.
Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you. And I've searched the world, but it couldn't fail me. A man's empty treasures of faith are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Come on, let's tell him. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid, and I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you see them all, and you still call me friend. Come on, let's declare this together. Because the God of the mountain is the God of the valleys, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Come on, do we serve the Lord who turns mourning into dancing? 'Cause you turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one. You're the only. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. One more time. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Just the voices. Lord, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you.
We love you for your friendship. You are always leaning in a righteous healing fire. And in your quiet patience, merciful and spacious, we can't help but raise our hands to praise.
tried so hard to see it. It took me so long to believe it, that you chose someone like me to carry your victory. Perfection could never earn it. You deserve it. And you take the broken things and raise them to glory. You are my champion. Giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. Now I can finally see it. You're teaching me how to receive it, so that all the striving cease. This is my victory. Now I can finally see it. You're teaching me how to receive it, so that all the striving cease. This is my victory. You are my champion. Giants fall when you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I
Hey, Tia, come on up. Thought this might be an appropriate time. Declaring Jesus as champion as you go forward. How many people have met Tia here? People know who Tia is. A few of you do? Yeah, she's pretty awesome. This is her last Sunday here. She's about to leave for Philadelphia, right? She's going to medical school. Nothing big, you know, some little thing called medical school. Y'all done it, you know, no big deal. Anyway, that's a huge deal. And I thought it'd be really appropriate if we as a church family could gather around her and pray for her, especially as we're declaring that Jesus is champion as she goes forward into this really cool season of her life. And we want to be with you in this. Thank you for joining us. Did you want to share anything as you get ready to go?
I don't want to ramble, but I started coming here a couple months ago after a really close family friend passed away. And it's so weird. There was just like something in the air about this place. And I felt like once I started coming here, I had to do a lot of unlearning, if that makes sense. Like where I went to church, kids are not running around. And if you were late, you kind of like creeped in the back. But everyone's just so open and loving. And I also just wanted to say, not in a creepy way, but you never know who's watching. Like, I know I don't know half of people's names in this room, but I look at Amanda and I'm like, I want to worship like you, and I want to love like you. And that goes for a lot of other people in this room, but I'm just really thankful. And I know I like hide in the corner over there, but I can feel the love here. And I'm really scared for this next chapter, but
You got this.
I keep, like, you kept doing this, like, turn away from God thing, but, like, more recently, I'm like, just turn around and leave it there. You can be as scared as you want, but, you know, he's worthy of my best, but he's going to love me when I'm not at my best, and he's going to get me through it. So I'm just really thankful for everyone here, even if I haven't met you. So I just appreciate this place and who everyone is.
So yeah, even though she's smarter than all of us, you can still come on up here and pray for her. Maybe we'll get a little smarter. But this is a big deal. And I thought, you know, the fact that you came here a couple months ago, kind of out of the blue, that was a really big first step for you. It took courage, and we're believing that that same courage is going to carry you right into this, what you're about to do. So come on in. Oh, sorry, Cyrus. As we're gathered around her, if you feel being led to pray, I want you to just raise your hand and I'll give you the microphone.
Father, I just thank you for Tia. I thank you for this opportunity for us as a family, that you've brought her to us and you've given us an opportunity to get to know her. And I just thank you that she's taught us as she's been in our presence as well. I thank you that as she goes forth, that she will carry such a love, which she already has on the inside of her, and she will share it with others. She's such a good friend. Even in the practical things, I just thank you that you are just going to open paths for her and open doors into people's hearts. She will be impacted, but she's going to impact others and miraculously stay focused on her studies and with her dedication, be an excellent student and taking in all that she can during this time. So, Father, may she always remember us as a family surrounding her, standing with her, and may she never feel alone. In Jesus' name.
situation that you're in maybe feels like you should be nervous or, like not be able to think. But I pray for this peace that gives you clarity and confidence. You're going to be learning so much. And so I just pray that for like an expansion of the real estate in your mind, because there's going to be so much, but there is a home for that knowledge in your mind. And I pray for this, that you'll trust your intuition as you're in a situation where maybe you don't feel like you can recall that knowledge because it's like somewhere in there, but trust yourself. It's in there. And I just feel this like teachable spirit. So you are teachable and always stay teachable.
Jesus, thank you for Tia. Thank you for the way that you made her, the way that you intricately know every detail about her life. You know every need. God, you see the path long before she even gets there. And God, I just pray that you would provide every single thing she needs. I pray that you would provide finances. I pray that you would provide a friend. I pray that there would be someone special that would just, I don't know, like when you meet this person, your heart would just be so open, their heart would be open. I just pray that there would be someone special there that is just like, you're like, oh, God, you knew what I needed even before I did. I pray that every circumstance that you come, that you would meet it with courage. Courage doesn't mean that you're not going to be afraid or you're not going to be nervous, but you'll meet it with that peace like Mary was speaking. Like you'll just have a quiet confidence in who the Lord is, that you will know that he is your champion and that he is going before you, providing every need. And I pray that he would provide some wants too, because I think the Lord loves to do that for us. I think he loves to like look down into our hearts and find those like secret desires and just be like, hey, here you go. I love that about the Lord. I love how good he is.
Reese just hit what I wanted to say. Like, I know Mark said you're going to medical school, but I kind of feel like you're going to the Revelation of Jesus school. Because what's more revelatory of Jesus than the healing of people, the temple of Jesus? Like, you're going to learn to restore temples. And I think what I want you to do is not put it on a pedestal, but have reverence for the thing that the Lord has called you to do in that way. That I am going to learn the revelation of Jesus through the restoration of the temple. So we bless you. As your priestly calling is to restore the temples, to bring them to full health. We are the Holy of Holies. We are the place that God dwells. So you don't take this calling lightly, and I know you don't. And you have the backing of this whole company here in prayer. So that mantle or that calling or that whatever he's putting out, whatever word you want to use, it comes down to you are revealing who Jesus is to the most desperate. So we bless you in your hands and your mind to do that very thing.
I keep seeing this beacon on a hill, and you're it. And people want what you have. And just keep letting Jesus shine through you, because people are seeking. And I just keep seeing this beacon, and you're it. I don't even know you, so the Lord this is a word from the Lord.
The Lord will open doors for you. There's times where he's going to take you by the hand and he's going to walk you in. Don't be afraid. No fear. When it rises up, still walk. He's with you.
That the Holy Spirit's power would move through these hands, even when you don't understand what's happening, that you would just be a willing conduit. Maybe some of the things that you're taught are not what the Lord would, how he would move, but if you are willing, amazing things will happen. Don't be afraid to open your mouth and speak when you feel prompted. Because he walks closer than a brother.
Tia, basically, you're walking into the next generation of medical. You're not basically playing God, you're basically working for him. You're going to have tough choices in life, but he's giving you a gift and he's going to get stronger and stronger. I just wanted you to let you know that you got a lot of strength coming through you and you're going to learn it. You're going to have your ups and downs, but he's there. He's got your back. Bless you.
I just want to say I think it's fitting that he's moving you to Philadelphia, because I'm pretty sure, isn't that the city of love, brotherly love? I just think it's fitting. You're literally going to be living in love this season.
today, but I don't have no idea what's going on. So, watch what I'm seeing. That's why I need help. Thank you for that. Help me out. So basically, how I take offering is just give us all your money. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Shoes, rings, watches, cars. All right, anyway, bring money up. If you give this way, money up. You give otherwise. Make sure you do it. Thank you, Jesus, for how you provide for the kingdom. Through us, you created grace. And honor your name. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you, everybody, for giving. There's one more. This is a big one. This one's going to put us over the top. We're in the black. Hey, real quick, I haven't done this in a little while, so I want to give you a quick update on this building. If you're new here, this is going to be some new news, but if you've been around here for a while, you know that we have had one company came 3+ years ago now and said they wanted to buy this property. And we went through almost 2 full years of inspection period and due diligence, only for them to say we were dropping out of that and they weren't buying the property. So within 2 weeks of them dropping out and voiding the contract, a realtor came and said, I've got another buyer that would like to buy the property. And that was in September of last year. We signed a contract with them. And just this past week, they null and voided their contract. So we now had 2 different buyers that have come. We've never sought buyers. We've all the time just kind of been sitting here, doing what we do, and each time someone's come and says they'd like to buy the property. So this is the second time now. And in both cases, it seems to hinge on PennDOT. So if you want to pray for anything, pray that PennDOT gets their act together, because it seems to be an ongoing problem with people being able to purchase property, especially on state roads or coming off of interstates and things like that. So now that's the second one. Now the good news is in both cases, both buyers have to buy their way out of a contract, so it's actually made money in the process. So we're in decent shape there, but of selling this property. So we'll keep you updated as that gets going. It's still probably going to be a long process. Commercial property, selling commercial property, specifically when we would really like to be able to sell it so that the buyer can literally exit right off of 81 and onto 81 from this property. If any of you have ever tried to pull out of here and maybe try to make a left turn out of here on a Sunday, you're basically taking your life into your own hands each time you do it. So it makes much more sense to create an exit and entrance directly off the property there, and that's what's taking the time. To have PennDOT do those approvals, even though the light's already there. If you look, the light's already there ready to go, but to get the actual exit off of the property onto Wayne Avenue and then onto 81 is quite the process with PennDOT. So anyway, that was a quick update. Any questions on that? Yes. Say that again. What happens to us? Yeah, we just go away. No, just kidding. The process would be, and we've kind of been waiting for this, for someone to actually say, okay, we're settling, we're closing, and this is the date. Because in each one of the contracts, we've had this period of time where we rent the property from the buyer, which then gives us time to locate a property, do what we need to do, whether it's refurb an existing property or build a new one. And we thought that even if it was a 6-month lease back, for example, we knew that it was going to probably take more time to build a new building, which meant that the temporary condition would be that Travis would be setting up and tearing down sound equipment every Sunday. Just kidding. We would never do that to you, sir. But, yeah, behind me. Right. No, we would probably lease an existing church facility for a period of time until ours was ready. So that's kind of like the stopgap measure. Okay? We have been, let me just, in case you have been asking, if you notice things that aren't done around the building and probably should be done around the building, there's a reason why they haven't been done. Because in both cases, both buyers were tearing down the building. So we were like, why invest in a building that's eventually going to be torn down? So we're kind of like limping things along, like the AC and the heat. Probably there's 7 or 8 units on the top of the building. They should all probably be replaced. Each one is in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, in case you're wondering. So multiply that by 7 or 8. I can't remember the exact number, but so that's what it would take just to upgrade the HVAC here. Lighting, you can just look up and see some of the lights are on, kind of on, barely on, all because of we keep thinking that at any point in time we're going to close. So we're going to, as a board, kind of strategically do what we need to do to keep things up to date, keep things working, but just to give you an understanding of why things might not have been happening and maintenance the way they could be. Dan?
I was going to ask
Why are we selling? Well, for 2 reasons. If you look around the room, and again, I know this is summer, but even at our height, we're not using the whole facility. And it's 27,000 square feet of building. I would say we're using half of it on a regular basis. So we would like to buy a smaller building. Plus, right now is a pretty prime time in the real estate market, and I think it's only going to continue to rise. So we're at a very low LTV, loan to value here. So if we sell the property, we'll be able to buy and build with cash and still have a significant amount of money in the bank where we can really do some important kingdom things. So we want to be fully out of debt, never to be back in debt again, and advance the kingdom financially. Any other questions? Yes, Becky.
Are you staying around this area when you think about like
Yeah.
building?
Yeah, we want to stay close here. Yep. There's lots, and I'll be transparent with you. There's lots just on the other side of Orchard Drive. If you cross over behind the Rudders there's several lots there. I've talked to the guys that are representing the sellers of that property, and no one's interested in those properties. So pretty much at any point in time, it's like 2 and 3 acre lots. We could build a 15,000 square foot building, do it really nice, do what we want, have a really upgraded sound system, lighting system, even have a little recording studio in it. We would love to do podcasts, really do good music recording. So there's a lot of good things we can do. And if we build a smaller footprint, we can build really well and still have plenty of money left over. Is there another question? I don't see a hand, so help me out. Hey, yes, Kara. What will we do? You didn't hear what I just said? We're going to build a new building, but it's going to be a little smaller. Yeah. Ask Mom. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Okay, are there any announcements that I missed because Kids Camp? Josh, did you want to make an announcement about Kids Camp at all?
Just to remind you, I think most of you are like on top of this, but today is the last day to register your kids. So if you haven't done so, or you have some folks you wanted to invite, try to get them registered by tonight. Yeah.
How many do you have right now?
I've been away, so I have to get my numbers tomorrow. I did talk with Network while I was away, and I know they have several kids that are coming, and they have a few other kids they're trying to work on transportation for, so we should have a good group from there. But I didn't put together all my numbers yet.
Yeah, just remember Dexter both volunteered to give and to help. You remember that, Dexter? That's what you get for not listening. All right, kids, you can be dismissed. Ben Delgado, you ready? Okay. Welcome, Ben.
Okay. I don't eat liver, so I know what house to skip. Thank you for the invite. Thanks, Jonah. All right. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I have a lot to get to. So I'm going to move very quickly, and I don't think I'm going to end by 12. So if you get up and walk out, I wanted to say no offense, but I'm going to be offended. No, I'm not going to be offended. Okay. So to tell you how all this came about, this verse. I got an email from someone that was very concerned and disturbed about a verse in the Bible, and they wanted some explanation about it. Did anybody see my reading glasses? The problem with reading glasses is you need glasses to find your reading glasses, but if you're not wearing your glasses, Jen, could you see if the... So they were concerned about some verses in the Bible that didn't make sense and didn't necessarily align, thank you so much, with their understanding of who God is. And this was the verse. So brace yourself and prepared. It's in 1 Samuel 16, 14 through 16. Okay, 1 Samuel 16, 14 to 16. Now the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord terrorized him. Saul's servant then said to him, "Behold, now an evil spirit from God is terrorizing you." Does that rub you the wrong way a little bit? Does it bother you? Doesn't bother you? Everybody just totally gets it? It bothers you? Okay, good. I hope it bothers you. Let our Lord now command your servants who are before you, let them seek a man who is skillful player on the harp, and it shall come about when the evil spirit from God is on you, that he shall play the harp with his hand, and you will be well. So who's the person playing the harp? David's the person playing the harp. Who's the person being terrorized? Saul. Okay, so there are, let me step back. In this year, so this is actually the first time I've ever preached on like an email that somebody sent me. And I was like, well, instead of me writing you a whole email back, I'm just going to preach about it. They're not even here today, but you know what? Grab the video or, I don't know, do something. But this is the first time I'm ever doing it. So I hope I do it well. Lord, please give me grace. But this whole year, really, if you want to say it's about manifest, measure, multiply, right? But really it's about maturity. Right? Because what you do in order to gain maturity is you measure what you manifest. Right? You measure what you manifest, and then when the thing that you manifest is measured to the template of who Jesus is, then you multiply that. Okay? So this is not linear, just manifest it, measure it, and multiply it. There should be a pause here where you measure again. So a lot of maturity is manifest, measure, manifest, measure, manifest, measure, manifest, measure, manifest, measure. Right? You ever see that? Immature people manifest or multiply based on their feelings, and mature people manifest based on fruit. But not just any fruit, it's fruit that's measured. Okay, so the most mature people that I know spend the most amount of time where? In measure. Okay, they manifest something. They say, okay, let's spend some time in measurement. They measure it. They see the fruit of that thing. And then when it looks like Jesus, they multiply. So when you're seeing someone who is multiplying a lot, and you look at them, you're like, oh, they're multiplying a lot. Like, I guess they just multiply. You have no idea how much time they've spent in measurement. That's right. I guarantee you that they have spent more time in measurement than you have even spent in manifesting. The most mature people that show the most, like the best fruit, spend time with Jesus, measuring. I measure. So a fruit that's a nice way to measure. It's an incomplete way to measure because the complete way to measure is Jesus. So if you want to become mature, spend most of your time here. Spend most of your time here. Measure, measure, measure. Identify what, you manifest something. And a good measurement is like, you manifest something and you say, where the heck did that come from? You ever do that in your life? Like you have like a little outburst? I've never had an outburst ever. Actually, you want to know something? We just came back from vacation. Don't be with a dad in an airport. They will manifest insanity. You should see, I'm a tyrant with my kids. Like, take your shoe. Well, we have TSA pre-check. Put all the stuff in your bag. Everybody here hates you. Like I told my kids, like by the nature of you being here, people don't like you because you're children. They want you out of the way. So I'm like, so I manifest. I'm like, oh, that was horrible. That was really bad. So I bring it back and I put it in the light of Jesus. And Jesus is like, let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about a few things. So what I want to do is I want to talk about 3 stories in the Bible that absolutely stink. And they're going to make you, they make you question, do I even know who God is? Do I even know who God is? Oh, so the first one is going to be Saul. The second one is going to be Moses. And the third is going to be Uzzah. H. Chronicles spells it with an A. Samuel spells it with an H. Okay, so anybody, what was the messed up thing that happened with Moses?
Struck the rock.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. What's the messed up thing that happened with Uzzah? God killed him. Why? Because he touched the ark. We're going to talk about those things. All right, and we're going to why? Why, God? Why? Now, I want to use these stories allegorically, okay? So you could use them as a historical text, obviously, but I want to use it as a picture of how we should be applying these things in our lives, okay? And we're going to go through a lot of verses. But I'm telling you straight up, I'm coming from this from a perspective of a metaphor and how we should be looking for our life. So we're going to start with Saul. We're going to go back to Moses. I'm going to just sprinkle Moses in there, and then we're going to end with Uzzah. Is that water bottle available? Could you just chuck it over here? Let me see if I catch it. Just right there in front of you. Oh, man, I wanted to catch a water bottle.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I'm not a germaphobe. I would drink that, too. I don't care. Okay, so in order to start with Saul, we got to start in 1 Samuel 15. And I'm going to read fast. I'm going to skip and abbreviate some areas. Is that okay with you? I'm going to go back into reading. We're going to go into Exodus. We got a lot to do, okay? So bear with me. I know I'm a little frantic, but we got a lot to do. So, then Samuel said to Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint you as king. Did God want Saul to be king in the first place? No. Why not? It wasn't a Saul thing. It was a God and access thing, me to you, okay? This is what I want. But the people are like, we want a king, we want a king, we want a king. Everybody else around us has a king. So he said, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to give them what they want. Have you ever gotten what you asked for? Have you ever then realized, oh, that was... And hint, that's like the answer to what happened with Saul. So we're going to talk about it in a second. Then Samuel said to Saul, the king sent me to anoint you as king over his people, over Israel. Now, therefore, listen to the words of the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, I will punish Amalek. Who's Amalek? Who's Amalek? So we're going to have to do some stuff. We're going to have to go back and look at some context here. I will punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him on the way while he was coming up from Egypt. Now go and strike Amalek And this is like the hard things that the Lord says, I'm bringing it to you allegorically, as a metaphor, okay? Now go and strike Amalek and utterly destroy all that he has, and do not spare him, but put to death both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. Whoa. That is a very, very heavy command from the Lord, okay? I wish I could explain it. But you have to go into the context. Okay, you have to understand what the Lord is doing. And in order to do that, unfortunately, the context of the story is in Exodus. So let's go to Exodus. All right? Are you with me so far? We're going to go back into Samuel, but be with me in Exodus. And if I'm going too fast, just raise your hand and be like, calm down. All right? But I won't. Okay, so Exodus. The context of the story for Saul, and the commandment that God is giving to Saul right now about Amalek actually is within Exodus in the freeing of God's people. So the context of what God is telling Saul to do is carry out my freedom for my people. So it's going to be harsh. So you have to understand something, that freedom is not an easy thing. It's a hard thing. It's something that actually gets fought for. Like, check this out. You know, we celebrate July 4th, right? July 4th, 1776. We declared our independence. We're independent. Not to Britain. They were like, the heck you're independent. So you start declaring independence, you start declaring freedom, and there's like 7 more years of war before you actually see the manifestation of the freedom that you declared. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you could declare all the freedom that you want here, but then you're going to have to fight for that freedom over here. All right? And it's going to take some, like, 10 toes in the ground staring at some people and doing some things that you may not want to do. Right? Okay. It actually may take a lot of sacrifice, and we're going to get to this verse because I guarantee you've been told that verse, and it's out of context, okay? Out of context, or you're looking at it wrong. So here we are, Exodus chapter 14. I'm not gonna make you go through these, but we can look at Exodus 14. This is all the context of Saul. So what happens in Exodus 14? Well, that's the parting of the Red Sea. All right, so God frees his people from Egypt, and the people are being chased, and they get to the point of the Red Sea, and there's nowhere to run, and Moses is like, what am I going to do with these people? And God said something really crazy. He's like, why are you crying out to me? I'm like, why am I crying out to you? You told me to come out here. And then God's like, yeah, just tell the waters to part and walk through the waters. I'm like, whoa. So basically, the overcoming of the obstacle was part of the calling for freedom. So this is what happens. Hold on. I know I'm frantic, but I'm so excited. I'm just excited. Okay, look, you know you're going through something in your life, right? You're going through something in your life, and you're pursuing something that's really, really cool, and you come up on an obstacle. And a lot of times, what we do is we say, oh, that obstacle is a sign I shouldn't be doing this thing. So you turn around and you go back and you say, you know what? I was better off with my captor over there, so I turned back over there. This is what the people of Israel did. No, that obstacle that is there is actually part of the calling. The obstacle and overcoming the obstacle is building your strength and your character so that you can carry the thing that's on the other side. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you got to overcome this thing. You can't turn around and not overcome that thing. That's part of the calling. So when you get to the sea, what you have to say is part, because it's part that, like, telling the sea to part is actually part of your authority within that calling. You get to do that. And that's why God says, looking at Moses, is like, why are you talking to me? Talk to the sea. Talk to it. Tell it what to do. And next thing you know, all Israel's like, boom, boom, two-stepping right through dry ground, right? Turn around, and Egypt is underwater. Because that was part of your calling. But you had to step through. You had to go through. Okay, so that's 14. Okay, 15. Okay, what happens in chapter 15? I'm going to need my asthma pump or something. Whew. Okay, God provides water in 15, okay? Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a desert, but there's not a lot of water in a desert. So people are walking around, and they're all cranky, and they're like, we need some water. You ever been with your kids, and they're like, I'm hungry? And you're like, oh, geez, like, we've been out 15 minutes. Everybody calm down, all right? So you come, thank you, throw it over here. Oh, overhand? That's disrespect. That's my daughter, everybody. Disrespectful, right in church. Okay, so the people are grumbling for water. Moses comes about water. God says, hey, take that tree, throw it into the water, and guess what? It's going to become sweet. All right, so God made sweet tea right there. First sweet tea ever made. All right, just grab a tree, throw it in the water. All right, that's how God did it. So God starts providing water. Chapter 16. Oh, man, there's so much to do. God provides manna. God provides manna, something to eat, okay? All right, so I don't want to talk about the grumblings of manna, but you know how manna worked. It came, right? It settled. The people came in and collected for the day, and then they went. And then on the Sabbath, on the Friday, right, or the day before the Sabbath, they got a double, right? So they had enough to eat. So God provides manna. In the wilderness, he is providing sustenance, right? He's providing. So chapter 17, God provides water again. Okay, and this is where we're going to talk about Moses. So here's the sprinkling of Moses. I'm going to read this part. Chapter 7, what did I say? Chapter 17, thank you. So Moses cried out to the Lord. And he cried out to the Lord because, like, everybody was crying out to him. Like, I think that's how Mark feels when everybody's complaining. And he's like, Jesus, help me with these people. Like, you know, you are the problem. Like, there is a common denominator for all my problems, and it is me. I realize that. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do to this people? A little more, and they will stone me. And then the Lord said to Moses, pass before the people, and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your staff with you, which you struck the Nile, and go. And behold, I will stand before you on the rock at Horeb, and you shall do what? You shall strike the rock. Who told Moses to strike the rock? God tells Moses to strike the rock. Okay. And water will come out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel, and guess what? Water starts flowing to the rock. He strikes the rock, boom, water starts flowing. Everybody's happy. Or maybe not everybody's happy, but everybody stops complaining. So now I'm happy, or Moses is happy, okay? So, Amalek. Remember we were talking about Amalek? I told you we're going to be everywhere, right? We're going to be everywhere. But here comes the context of Saul with Amalek is in the next verses. So, then Amalek came and fought Israel at Rephidim. Okay, so Moses said to Joshua, choose men over us and go fight against Amalek. And this is where I'm going to summarize the story. Do you remember in the Bible when Moses has his hands up, like they're winning? And when Moses has his hands down, they're losing? That's Amalek, all right? That is the fight against Amalek. Now, the Amalekites, if you read the history, are the chief tormentors of the Israelites. I know you probably, Philistines and Canaanites and all these people, it's the Amalekites who are really the chief, antagonists when it comes. Like, Egypt was a season, but the Amalekites, they just keep coming back. They're like a tormenting spirit just coming over. Okay, so this is what happened. God was all thrilled. His people are out of the Red Sea. They're walking. He's providing. They're going a different way. And all of a sudden, Amalek is like, let's attack these people. Let's attack the Jews. We're going to attack the people of Israel. So they attack them and they fight at Rephidim. Is that how you pronounce that? Sorry if I... Sure. Okay, so Joshua defeats the Amalekites at that, in that battle, right? They say, oh, you know what, Moses, sit down, and they prop his arms out. It's kind of cheating, but they just held his arms up, and they're like, as long as his arms are up, we winning, okay? So, what you have to know is that the Israelites were not even going in the same path as the Amalekites. They weren't even going in the same path. The Amalekites are like down over here. The Israelites go through, right? They go through the sea, and they're going off that way to the promised land, and the Amalekites are like, we're going to attack them. There's a lot of backstory. Now, look what God says at the end of chapter 17. Then the Lord says to Moses, write this in a book as a memorial and recite it to Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven. Write this in a book. Have you ever had somebody in authority over you just being like, you may want to write this down? What do? You write it down. Have you ever had your boss be like, yes, write this down? Like, look at you square in the face and say, this one, you cannot, this one, no. Do not, like, I don't even know if he's like talking about the Bible right now. He's like, look, I have Moses put this in stone. You better write this down, and you better not forget this. This is the promise of God. I am going to blot this thing out of the face of the earth. All right? And then Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." And the Lord said, and the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war against Amalek from generation to generation. Okay, now, going into allegory now. Like, I'm using this as allegory. I told you that in the first place. Have you ever been marching towards freedom and something attacked you out of like no context whatsoever? Like, you're going towards growth, and all of a sudden this thing over here is like, boom, where did that thing come from? Not even your fault, not something you did, it just came out of nowhere. It's like, boom. And look, I'm a type of person that most of the time, like, we have to take responsibility for it. But there are things that attack you while you're moving to freedom that just come up behind you, and they're like, nah, I'm going to stop this freedom thing from happening. And I guarantee you, the Lord has so much wrath against the thing that's preventing you from freedom that he's like, write this down. I am going to blot this thing out. I am going to blot it out. So there's things in your life that's attacking you and stopping you from getting freedom that Lord's like, man, this thing pisses me off. Yeah, you know what? We try to argue, like, does God have any wrath, and argue against wrath of God. You want to know something? I want him to have some wrath, especially against the things that are preventing me from experiencing the freedom that he has for me. Like, he's like, I can't take that thing. That thing that's stopping you. That's what Amalek represents. Amalek represents the torture of God's people. And he's like, you know what? Everything I do, I'm going to blot that thing out so that my people will experience freedom. Yeah. And this is what God was telling Moses. Like, no, I will take these things out. I will take these things out. So you think it's important for those things to be taken out? Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go to Numbers. We're going to deal with Moses real quick. Am I everywhere? Is this crazy? Are you following me? Okay, thank you. All right, Numbers. Oh, Moses. Moses was, okay. Now, Numbers chapter 20. Guess who's complaining again? Who's complaining? What are they complaining for? Water, like they haven't seen water before. Like, whew, you ever complain about the same thing over and over? The Lord says, take the rod, and you and your brother Aaron assemble the congregation and speak to the rock. What did the Lord tell him to do? Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it may yield its water. You shall thus bring forth water for them out of the rock, and let the congregation and their beasts drink. So Moses took the rod. Okay, so far so good. From before the Lord, just as he commanded, and Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, listen now, you rebels, shall we bring forth water for you out of this rock? See, Moses' heart wasn't in the right place in the first place. Like, he was like, listen to me, you rebels. Like, he was just like, look at me, you pain in the, like, listen, this is what's happening. And then what does Moses do? He strikes the rock. He strikes the rock. Okay, let's go to allegory. Back to allegory. too many of us, and this is where the obey is better than sacrifice, but too many of us try to use old methods where God is trying to do new things. Old methods, new things. And God, to Moses, I think in his heart, God was like, man, I want Moses to bring these people into the promised land. But God didn't want a strike the rock person where a speak to the rock person needed to be. And how many times do we apply strike the rock when speak to the rock needs to be the method? So God is looking at Moses right there, and guess what? That's a picture of the gospel. Strike the rock, first covenant. Speak to the rock, second covenant. A picture, a shadow of exactly what God is trying to do. As the people go into the promised land, we get to speak to the rock, and out of it flows water. No, we don't have to do striking the rock anymore. We don't have to do that. God's like, speak to the rock. Like, show your authority through speaking to the rock. You're going to move into the land of milk and honey because you're going to speak in the rock. You know why it's the land of milk and honey? I learned this the other day through studying. I like studying. You know why it's specifically milk and honey? Because milk and honey produce no death in its production. Wow. Bees don't die in the production of honey. Cows actually give birth and are able to give milk, like it's a production. Like, so you're going into the land of abundant life, milk and honey. I think that's so cool, right? God figures these things out. He's like, no, it's not a land of meat because you have to kill meat. It's a land of milk and honey. That's good stuff. Man, right? He's so good. He's so good. All right. So, are you striking the rock when you're supposed to be speaking to the rock? Probably. I don't know how many times I strike rocks when God's like, speak to the rock. Speak to the rock. And because Moses decided that he's going to stay as a strike the rock person, and he didn't realize, oh, this is about the people, and this is about the Lord. It's not about me. So I should actually do the thing that the Lord is telling me to do and speak to the rock, because more glory will come out of my obedience than, well, the people are drinking. Well, the people are drinking. That's great. And you want to know something? People will drink based on my own, charisma or my own, understanding. Like, I could strike rocks and give you water, and I'm gonna have to continually doing that. Or I can go the Lord's way and speak to the rock and endless water flow. Right? Like, the source be the Lord. The source be the Lord. Instead of, the source being me trying to conjure stuff up. Am I making sense to you? Okay, so we got Moses out of the way. Here's your... That doesn't work. Here's your lesson from Moses. Stop trying to use old methods to do new things. Listen to the heart of the Lord of where he wants to evolve you to. Stop striking rocks and start speaking to rocks. You'll find better success. Let's go back to Samuel, 1 Samuel. We got to talk about Saul. Any questions so far? You with me? Are you with me? All right. So, let me summarize chapter 15, 4 through 9. So basically what happens is Saul, he goes into battle and he tells the Canaanites, which is an offshoot, and he says, Canaanites, just get out of here because it's not going to be good. And the Canaanites were not a group of people that were really hostile towards Israel, but he says go. And he takes his army and he slaughters all the people, all the Amalekites, except, who does he leave? He leaves the king, okay? He leaves the king, and he also leaves the choice sheep, oxen, goats, right? So, and we'll get to it right here. He said, but Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep, the oxen, the fatlings, the lambs, and all that was good, And they were not willing to destroy him utterly, but everything despised and worthless, they utterly destroyed that. So you know what? That's cool, right? Everything that wasn't good, everything that I can't use, I destroy, and I pretend like I'm listening to God. But everything that kind of looks good to me, like I'm gonna keep. Like I'm gonna keep that around. I like that. That makes me feel comfortable. Oh, you know what? That's sin. It makes me feel kind of comfortable. It validates me. I like it. It's choice. It makes me feel good. You multiplying feelings? I know I multiply feelings all the time. So I'm not like alone. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying this is what we do. So, this is what happens here. Then the word of the Lord came to Samuel saying, I regret that I made Saul king. And this is in verse 10. For he has turned back from following me, has not carried out my commands. And Samuel was distressed and cried out to the Lord all night. And Samuel rose early in the morning to meet Saul. And it was told to Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set up a monument for himself, then turned and proceeded on down to Gilgal. Okay, so who set up a monument for himself? Think that was a good idea? You set up a monument to... Do you not hear, like, the... I know I said allegory, but do you not hear what we do so many times? We start setting up monuments to who? To ourselves. We start setting up monuments to that. Look what I did. Look who cool I am. Look what I accomplished. I set up a monument to myself. And God's like, you didn't do the thing that I told you to do. Why are you setting up a monument for yourself when you didn't accomplish the thing I told you to accomplish? And we come down with all arrogance and we're like, hey, everybody look at this. And people who hear the Lord are like, And I'm not trying to make this like I'm not trying to be super like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I'm not trying to be accusatory, but this is just like what we do. But then somebody who really spends time here can see that what's being multiplied here by somebody who didn't spend time here, that ain't it. That ain't it. I'm really not trying to be accusatory. This is just life, right? It's just life. And when it comes down to it, like, if Saul would have spent more time here, he would have never got to the point of setting up a monument for himself. Okay, so let's go. I know, I'm sorry. I'm going to go past 12. I apologize, but okay. Samuel came down to Saul, and Saul said to him, Blessed are you of the Lord, and I carried out the command of the Lord. Did he? No. But Samuel said, What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears and the lowing of the oxen what I hear? What is this sound that doesn't sound right in my ears? Man, could you imagine having somebody in your life that can like hear that? Like, I'm trying to hide some sheep over here. Like, these are my choice sheep. No, I did everything. It's like, no, I hear them. I hear it. And it happens into our life. Like, we'll be talking and somebody, I hear what's behind there. I hear what's behind what you're saying. It kind of sounds good to somebody who hasn't spent time in the Lord, but I hear what's behind here. I hear it. I know it. Again, I'm not coming in accusatory. This is just, you should have people in your life like this. I hope you have people in your life like this. Like, people will be like, yeah, nice BS you're giving me. Sorry, but that's nice. It's cute. But I hear what's behind there. You should have people in your life like this. And if you don't, then what you're probably doing is erecting a monument to yourself. That's probably what's happening. Okay, so, I'm sorry. Okay. I just love like going through stories and finding these things that God is telling you. Like these things are applicable to your life. So, Saul says he tries to make it nice. You ever try to make your sin look nice? Well, Saul's like, yeah, well, the people thought it would be really, really good. The people thought, and I kind of agreed, like that God's command, it didn't really make a lot of sense. And I found a better way. You ever found a better way than God's way? You ever found a better way? I found plenty of better ways than God's way. And you know where it got me? Worse off. So Saul's like, yeah, we thought what we should do is save all the good stuff, right? And we'll sacrifice it to God, right? Like, that sounds good, right, Samuel? And Samuel's like, I'll go kick you in the face right now. Like, seriously. Because that's where, and this is the context of this verse right here, where I want to get to you. Let's skip down to verse 22. Oh, I'll go to 20. Samuel calls him out and says, nah, that's not how this works. And then Samuel said to the Lord, I did obey the voice of the Lord and went on the mission on which the Lord sent me and brought back Agag and the king of Amalek and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people who took some of the spoils, sheep and oxen, and choices of the things devoted to destruction to sacrifice to the Lord your God. And Samuel said, has the Lord as much delight in burnt offerings and sacrifice as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice. Okay. Now, the way that we've used this verse is we've kind of put the obey as in like, oh, here are all the laws and all the stuff that you need to do. And it, like, we make obey to be this very robotic thing. Obey, right? Obey is better than it is to sacrifice. But it's actually the sacrifice part that's the robotic part. This is like the laws and the lists and this and this and that, if you read it. Because what he's saying is, oh, you know all those laws, you know that you have to do this sacrifice and that sacrifice and this sacrifice. Saul was trying to be under that covering of sacrifice. It's like, oh, no, I have all these choice things that I'm going to sacrifice to you. And God's like, that sacrifice doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is that I spoke to you. So this obey portion right here, this is actually the relational portion. And the sacrifice portion, well, that's just the stuff that you do. So what he's saying here, what the Lord is saying in the Old Testament is it's better for you to sit under me and be measured by me and for you to listen to my voice and to obey it because it's based on relationship than it is for you to have this robotic sacrifice thing that you do that, you know what, technically it probably could cover you. Because, yeah, you know what? I'm sacrificing the choicest lambs. And I'm doing the rightest things. And I'm making it look good in church. And I'm doing this and this. And all that stuff is just crap to him. In comparison to him speaking to you. Do you hear what I'm telling you? Here's the deal. The sacrifice as it's represented here is just like a blanket thing to all people. Do this, ceremonially, do this. The obey portion is, man, I know everything that you've gone through. I know the things that are tormenting you. I know the things that are making you struggle. I know this, I know that. This is what you need to do. And I'm not telling you I'm telling you this for your freedom. I'm telling you this because I want you to experience my joy and my love and my freedom more than you could ever think. So I'm going to tell you to do this thing. And you know what? This thing that you're going to do, it's going to be really freaking hard. And it's going to sound like, hey, go in there and destroy everything. Because if you even leave a trace of that thing, it's going to rear its ugly head again. And guess what? You're going to be back in bondage and torment. So when God is telling Saul, hey, I need you to go and kill every single one of those Amalekites, not a trace of them is left. In the allegory sense, he's telling you, you see that thing that's tormenting you? Kill it. Like, kill it to the killiest kill. Like, kill it to it's dead. Like, all the way dead. Like when David wasn't settled enough with Goliath just laying down, which is in the 18th chapter of Exodus. And he went and he said, okay, you know what? It's not good enough that he's dead. I'm going to chop his head off so he cannot grow back. This is what he's saying. He's saying, like, I don't want you to experience bondage anymore, so we're not going to allow the thing that that torments you to live. So, going back, what did Saul choose? He chose sacrifice. And within sacrifice, you know what he actually chose? He chose his tormentor, because the Amalekites were his tormentor. He chose his tormentor. So what did God give Saul? His tormentor. He gave Saul the very thing that he chose. Because the Amalekites, like I told you before, were the tormentors of the people of Israel. Anytime they were like, okay, we're experiencing a little freedom. We're getting some momentum. Here come the Amalekites. Boom. Like, in your life, you're experiencing a little freedom. This bill, car breakdown, a little bit of health, a little bit this, right? A little sprinklings of torment. And God's like, oh, I just want to blot this thing out. I just want to blot it out. But you keep choosing your tormentor. Oh, well, first of all, it does come down to the people, because the people are like, let's keep this stuff. And he's like, yeah, why don't we keep this stuff? You know what? You ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? Stockholm Syndrome is like, it happened in Stockholm where people were kidnapped, and you spend so long like in the presence of your tormentor or your kidnapper, where you start to like get some compassion for him. You're like, he's not that bad, God. These chains aren't that bad. Like he makes them a little loose, so I can still hang. I got some blood flow. I got a meal, some water. Yeah, I love it. No, my tormentor's great. We grow so comfortable with our torment that we wouldn't even be able to understand what freedom looks like. And God's like, ugh. So God sent them the spirit that he chose. More times than not, the things that the Amalekites are this thing that comes out of nowhere, but many times we are sent the spirit that we choose. And in that verse, like this evil spirit from God, because that's how they perceived it. But when it comes down to it, it's the one that Saul was like, yeah, let's keep this one alive. I like the passion of that thing. I'm just going to keep those embers burning over here. And I'm going to pretend like I'm doing well with the Lord, but you know what? I could come back to this thing and stoke it up, and next thing you know, it's tormenting me again.
Well, there had to be some benefit because the king, too, like they were sacrificing him.
Yeah.
Like, we're all the people that could be sacrificed. There's some kind of benefit.
You know what? Well, when you say there's some kind of benefit, I actually don't know. Like, if it was me, I would have been like, well, the people, let me kill the king and leave the people, because the people didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what the benefit to Saul keeping the king alive, other than he was arrogant at that time. I don't know, you have a different, or maybe not arrogant, maybe he's just stupid. Okay, are you with me still? Okay, so even in that, the Lord is so good, okay? Because during this time, God is setting up who Jesus is going to come to do David, right? So he says, you know what, Saul, I'm going to give you the spirit that you chose. You chose this tormenting spirit, right? By not doing like not going on doing the thing and we all know there are things in our life where we're like, I need to do this thing, but you're just kind of like, oh man, I don't want to do this thing. Oh, I need to have that conversation. I need to have that conversation. I'm looking at some people are like, no, I need to have that conversation too. Like, we need to have this conversation, but you're like, oh, I don't want to. And the Lord's like, go kill it. Go kill it. And we sit there and wonder, well, why am I not experiencing freedom? And it's like, because you keep it in your back pocket. Keep it in your back pocket. I do it all the time. Keep it in my back pocket. So, this is how good the Lord is, though. The Lord is like, yes, Saul, you chose that tormenting spirit, but guess what? I'm going to send you a comforter, and that comforter is David. And not only am I going to comfort you, but I'm going to prepare David to be the king through this time that he's with Saul. Isn't that crazy? He's like, no, you know what? I have a comforter for you. You're going to be tormented, but I'm going to send you someone who can make you feel like, okay, better. And now what he does is he comforts Saul and grows David in that time. Man, he has it covered. He has it covered. The Lord is so good. Okay, now I want to just spend like 3 minutes on Uzzah, because that's another messed up story. But before I get to that, the allegory portion of Saul, like what you have to learn from Saul, is that when the Lord is speaking over you to do something, he's doing it out of every single like consideration of who you are, what you've experienced, what you've seen, what you've done, what's tormenting you. So he's not asking you to obey out of some robotic set of like whatevers. He's actually asking you to obey from from the deepest concern of our Father. Hey, this is what's going to give you freedom. Go do that thing. Go do that thing. And do it till it's dead. Okay, Uzzah. Let's talk about Uzzah's Uzzah's a messed up one. It's not that messed up, but it's messed up. It's kind of messed up. All right. First Chronicles. You can also find the story of Uzzah in 2 Samuel, but I'm going to go First Chronicles. Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to do this again next week. I've just been told I'm going to talk next week, and we're going to cover some. I want to go into practical application next week, if you don't mind. Okay? I want to go into practical application. I'm just going to give you the story of Uzzah because I want to get the metaphorical part out. All right, so I'm going to do the story of Uzzah real quick, and then we're going to go to practical application. All right, like next week. Okay, so the ark. Everybody knows the ark? The Ark of the Covenant, the thing that Indiana Jones found? You remember that? That's not in the Bible, though. He didn't find it. That's in Indiana chapter 3. I don't know. All right. Okay, so they carried the ark on the new cart from the house of Abinadab, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. David and all of Israel celebrated before God with all their might, even with songs and with lyres and harps and tambourines. We having a party, like we all happy. And when they came to the threshing floor of Shidon, Uzzah put out his hand to hold the ark because the oxen nearly upset it. So basically the oxen stumbles, right? And the ark starts to get woozy. Uzzah throws his hand out in order to make it steady. And then the anger of the Lord burned against Uzzah, so he struck him down because he put his hand on the ark. Jeez, at this point, like if that was like a dad situation, you'd be like, is dad okay? He kind of overreacted there. Like, geez, like, is he all right? Okay. I'm going to bring allegory, okay? So that you know that the ark was never supposed to be on a cart in the first place. The ark was never supposed to be on a cart. The ark was always meant, as a symbol of the presence of the God, the ark was meant to be carried on the shoulders of men and not put on a cart, okay? It wasn't meant to be put on a cart. So, allegory, how many times are we putting the things of the Lord on a cart in a place that it shouldn't be, and then when he tries to knock it down, we try to prop it up? You didn't even hear me on that one. How many times do we idolize something, and when God himself is like, yeah, it's time for that thing to be knocked down because that thing, it's not where it's supposed to be, and I need this thing in my life, and what you experience because of it is death. You experience death because you're putting things up on pedestals where they're not supposed to be put on pedestals, and when God's like, Time to knock that thing down. You're like, we're going to fight for this one. And you're like, you're aligning yourself up with your tormentor again. Could you imagine, imagine this. God is like, my command to you is actually more important than the Ark of the Covenant. Let it fall. Everything, okay, stand up, because I'm going to bless you now. I'm going to bless you now because I know I'm 10 minutes over. And this is how I'm going to bless you. Everything in your life that God is trying to knock down, let it fall. Stop trying to steady it, because it will bring you death. That, like the story of Uzzah is an allegory for us. It's a symbol, a representation of all the things that we put up there. It's like, oh, this is the most important thing. And God's like, okay, it's time. It's time for it to come down. And do not fight the fall. Step out of the way and be like, God, you're holy, and move on. Because his presence, like that thing wasn't supposed to be up on a car anyway. It wasn't supposed to be, it's supposed to be on your shoulders. It was supposed to be here, not put up here. It's supposed to be resting here. So I bless you for the presence of the Lord to rest on your shoulders. And not to be propped up in some kind of way where you make it an idol. And I pray that you have the discernment that when God wants to knock down idols in our lives, that you not fight it. That I not fight it. That I not hold my hand out to try to steady the thing that's bringing me torment. Father, I pray the strength in these people to go kill the thing that's stopping their freedom. Kill it good. And I know this sounds like a harsh Old Testament message, but this is a dad message, just like to kids saying, no, 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 no. Go conquer that thing, because you are strong and you're worthy to live a life of freedom. So I bless this house with the spirit of freedom. May no thing stop your freedom. May no thing stop your freedom. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so next week I'm gonna pick this up. And we're going to talk about some practical stuff, and we're going to probably just be here, okay? We're going to be here because, how do you hear the voice of the Lord? How do you hear the voice of the Lord? I don't know, right? Go eat, go enjoy, go take a nap, stay out of the sun. It's supposed to be cooler today? No? Like 10 degrees cooler? I love y'all.